Slavery is the ownership of a person as property, which involves such persons in forced labor or compulsory work. That was the plight of millions of people, especially Africans, who were victims of transatlantic slave trade, which occurred from the 15th to the 19th century. As the international community marks the remembrance of the victims of slavery, which falls on March 25th every year, Signature TV correspondent Chinemeremi Kebunam reflects on the atrocities of the past and modern-day slavery.
Slavery has its roots in ancient civilizations, with evidence of slave systems existing in Egypt, Greece, and Rome. The transatlantic slave trade, which occurred from the 15th to the 19th century, was one of the most devastating forms of slavery in human history. Millions of Africans were forcibly captured, sold, and transported to the Americas, where they were subjected to inhumane treatment, forced labor, and cultural destruction. The abolition of slavery in the 19th century by countries like Britain and France marked a significant milestone in the fight against slavery. However, the legacy of historical slavery continues to impact communities of African descent and other marginalized groups.
Since the ban formally, globally, they have banned what we know as human slavery way back. But the perpetrators of that inhuman act redesigned it in another form. Because when you cannot freely express yourself, the dignity, your dignity as a human person, those areas that you have to express yourself, those rights that you are supposed to have as a human being created by God Almighty, somebody will remove it away from you. You are pure in a pure slavery. And that is the modern form of it. Because you cannot tell me that a child that is supposed to be in school is not in school. A child that after graduation that you can't have a reasonable means of livelihood, that is slavery.
The chairman of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria in Enugu, Ben Asogwa, highlighted the insidious nature of modern-day slavery. Asogwa emphasized that slavery has transcended its historical manifestations, assuming more subtle and deceptive forms.
Today, we've seen situations where when we talk about modern-day slavery, sometimes it comes in such a package that people do not understand it as slavery. For instance, even as we talk, you see people being subjected to some unnecessary labor, especially in children, where you take them for one reason or the other and convert them to maybe people that work for you and you exploit them. So it's still part of this modern day slavery. Anytime you use people in such a way that they are not properly remunerated, it is slavery. Anytime you use people in such a way that they are not willingly doing whatever they are doing, it is slavery. When you use people, even when you seem to have employed people, but you pay them what cannot sustain them in any way, it is still refined slavery. So if we talk about modern day slavery, it's in so many ways. Even these days, people hand themselves over as slaves without knowing. For instance, this what we call japa. You see people going to some other places where they might not be accorded the privileges and rights of a worker.
The Deputy Secretary General, Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria, Chukwuma Igbokwe, emphasized that slavery persists in government and non-governmental organizations.
In various workplaces, people are in modern day slavery. In a place where you put somebody, for instance, in the banking institutions, where you employ somebody and call the person a contract staff and pay the person a very menial amount, and yet the person does even more work than the person you call a full-time staff. That is slavery. No matter how you do a slave will not complain. That is what we are having in most of our society now. Even to generally, Nigerian masses are enslaved. We are looking at Nigeria, the general masses now enslaved because politicians can do anything now and get away with it. They can do anything. Even your representatives, you think they will speak for you. Nobody is speaking for you. And you dare not talk. And if you raise your voice, so many other things will be put on you. And before you know it, you might be working your way to prison.
According to the International Labour Organization, there are estimated 40.3 million victims of modern slavery worldwide. The Global Slavery Index estimates that 71% of people in modern slavery are women and girls. In Enugu, Chinemerem Ikebunam for Signature TV News.
Signature TV. News in your pocket.